I wish there was video. That would be pretty cool.
Everyone in the world deserves to see Graham dance the way he does in this instance.
That music is for finger guns. Like, there's nothing else you can do with that except finger guns. Yeah, just like, I'm Annie Oakley, and I'm just like packing heat, and I'm just pew pew.
This is a cold open episode. Change nothing.
All right, so
Hi.
welcome to the Craft Parenting Podcast.
Can we be the Craft Parenting Podcast this week, because it totally fits.
This is Caroline, and we are joined once again with our good friends Bryan and Graham.
Finger gun slinging Graham.
Yeah. Thank you so much for joining us, you guys.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us. Thanks for cooking dinner.
Nothing like getting crunk on a work night again.
Happy Monday.
Are we getting? I mean, I guess we kind of are.
Dude, I am drinking an 11.1% beer.
Oh.
I'm right behind you at like 8.5.
What am I drinking here?
Well,
5.3. A measly 5.3.
All right, so this
driving.
is a craft beer podcast. Let's go around and tell everyone what we're drinking. We can start with the guests.
Okay.
Bryan, and then we'll go around.
All right. I am drinking Listerman Brewing Company out of Norwood or Avondale or Cincinnati.
Norwood. Don't talk shit about Norwood is one of their beers.
I would never talk shit about Norwood. I think their brewery's in Avondale now, but that's Norwood proper, even with Xavier.
Yeah. I mean, alleged
that is Norwood.
Or do they call themselves Norwood?
Geography.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm drinking Smorty, which is a pastry stout, 8.5%. Beautiful art of a mad scientist s'more blowing something up.
Have you seen Rick and Morty?
I haven't.
This makes way more sense if you've seen Rick and Morty. So it's Rick roasting a marshmallow that looks a lot like Morty.
Have you seen the Community?
From Rick and Morty.
No.
Do you know what the Community is? The show?
Have you seen Community? Oh.
I'm the worst.
What's his face? Chevy Chase and
Joel McHale, right?
Joel McHale, yeah.
All right. Thanks, Graham, for making me look extremely uninformed.
Yeah, they did a show. They go to like a
That is Rick and Morty.
They go to a community college. So the creator of the Community, they did an animated thing called Rick and Morty.
Anyway, like most Listerman beer, this is delightful and heavy and rich, and my husband's going to drive home.
Yeah. Let's see. What am I drinking? High Grain Brewing Company out of Silverton, Ohio, right off of I-71. It is their Lone Star Schwartz beer.
May the Schwartz
Look at you
be with
pronouncing
you.
your W's as V's. Somebody took some Rosetta Stone courses.
In a moment of self-improvement, Bryan and I did 2 weeks of Rosetta Stone German. And
Really?
being able to say to our little black dog, Das ist ein schwarzen Hund, is the only thing that I remember from that course. And I still will like occasionally
You are
look at
a
our
black
dog.
hound?
Yeah.
Is that what you told him?
Yeah.
Yes.
That's a black dog. I will
Oh,
regularly
you
tell
weren't
him
even
that.
talking. You were just saying that is.
It's a statement. Das ist ein schwarzen
Schwarzen
Hund.
That right there. So I was well prepped to pronounce today's beer, which is, it's a really nice little Schwartz beer. It's malty and dark.
Do you understand the pop culture reference?
Ooh, because it's got like a galaxy and it's got, is that a RV with wings?
So we are. I am the biggest nerd in the room.
Please educate me.
You know Star
Spaceballs,
Wars.
the
You know
movie.
Star Wars.
I'm familiar with Star Wars.
You know the parody Spaceballs.
Oh, I know of, but I've never actually seen it.
That
Yeah.
is the Millennium Falcon parody ship.
Oh.
And it's all about the Schwartz instead of the Force. And there's yogurt instead of Yoda.
See, this is where Rosetta Stone has led me astray. That doesn't say Schwartz. That says Schwartz.
Yes. So we need to preface
English,
this
you
episode
American.
where if beers were
Andy
divvied up
Oakley.
correctly, we are all 2.5 beers in before we even started recording this episode. Because math. I can still math.
We're 2.5
Yes.
beers in?
Because we all had a beer with dinner, and then we split 6 beers amongst 4 people, which is a beer and a half each. So that's 2.5 beers each.
Yeah.
Now, granted, our Christmas episode,
Damn
we
orders
finished
of operations.
12 beers during our Christmas episode between 4 people. So
Was that on a Sunday, though?
It was still a night where we had to work the next day.
Well, there you go. We had a very hearty meal, hopefully.
We
that
tried
helps. And we have water. And I am drinking a cocoa porter brewed with cocoa nibs
From
West 6 Brewing in Lexington, Kentucky.
So I dug through my beer fridge to find something that might be from before Lily.
It is for sure before Lily.
Okay.
Wow.
This has moved fridges a few times. And there's definitely some sediment something in the bottom of it because, again, this has moved fridges a few times. This is a barrel-aged braggot. It is a blonde stout style braggot brewed with local Ohio honey aged in bourbon barrels. It is 11.1% ABV, and it is a triple-digit series from Listerman Brewing Company. Because triple digit is no longer its own label. It's all just Listerman.
Yeah.
Wow. So, okay. Yeah,
So-
triple digits throwback.
Yep. And they partnered with a meadery. It's by your pinky, what the name is, like your other pinky.
To get the honey, I guess.
Yeah.
Like, so there's a little pop out at the top. I can't tell what it says.
Brothers Drake Meadery.
Oh, a meadery. Like they make mead.
Yeah, because honey makes mead. Or mead is typically made with honey. Is probably the proper way to word that sentence. But words are hard sometimes.
Maybe you should have like swished it around.
I probably should have because it's been around for a while. But it's still really yummy. I still get the honey. I definitely get the bourbon. And Lily
Right.
might be to school a little late tomorrow.
Yeah, when was that appointment? 11?
Well, so
She goes to preschool now.
she goes to preschool now. So drop off of preschool is between 7:15 and 7:50 a.m.
Oh, very precise.
And then preschool conferences are this week. And they are you can only schedule them between 11 a.m. and 1 p.m. because I guess who has to work? Who has jobs? I don't know. So I scheduled ours for 11 so I can work from home. And then I guess Lily gets to go to the conference with us because school lets out at 11. And then we'll just take 2 cars so I can drive to work. But first I have to fix Joe's car.
So what's on the agenda of a preschool conference? Is like some nice lady going to be like, your daughter's a jerk?
Potentially.
That's
So
an option.
We got review, like we got it's like it's not like a performance evaluation, but it's like a knowledge proficiency thing. So it's like
what
they
do you
circled
know?
all
Like
the
as a
different letters that
baseline.
she recognized. What
Mhm.
things is she good at, like sharing with others, playing with others, listening to directions. That's terrible. She does not do that ever. We're working on it. And like, so they said, like, don't be worried about the first, like, cause this is the first time that they're doing this. So like, don't be worried about this first sheet. It's more, what are they coming into school with the skills of? Don't expect much from it.
Yeah. So
But
it's more
also-
like equipping you with information as opposed to like evaluating the child.
Yeah.
It's like a baseline.
Yeah.
And then they'll do it again
But
in
like
3 months or whatever. I'm
Lily
sure.
recognizes way more letters than she did for the teacher.
Mm.
And like the teacher said she can count to 10. Well, Lily can probably count to like 15
Yeah. She kind of
Like, consistently.
earlier.
because she can count to 20 1 out of like every 10 tries. She likes to get stuck at 11, and once she gets past 15, it's like 15, 15, 17, 18, 19. Like she gets it, but she's not like
Well, how
She's
much of
3.
How much of that is her memorizing it versus her recognizing? I think that's
the other thing too, because it's like they like did like the QWERTY alphabet versus ABCD when you're like pointing out what letters they recognize, and the numbers were out of order as well.
Because she watches Sesame Street and Barney, and she memorizes stuff.
And
She,
like
she doesn't quite comprehend what she's saying necessarily.
and like we've got the alphabet on our fridge, and she'll like point through it, and like the first half of the alphabet she's really good about like actually pointing at D when she says D, but like the second half of the alphabet it's a hot mess as to what she's pointing to.
Well, thank you guys so much for being here.
Yeah.
I know we just recorded an episode, which will be released later. But thank you for being here again and eating our ribs, because I bought those ribs quite a while ago.
They were delicious.
Yeah.
So I feel like we need to branch out, because every time they come here we make ribs.
That was the last time we were here. We had ribs.
I think the
The
3 times you've been
the
here
last 2
we've
times
made ribs.
that we recorded a podcast, we made you crock
It's
pot
so
ribs.
easy.
I mean, they're easy and they're good. They fall off the bone. What are you going to do?
Yeah.
I mean, I
Eat 'em.
feel
Like
like
that time I asked Brian whether or not I should change my turkey recipe, and he said, no, don't change a thing.
Mm-hmm.
he did say that.
I
yeah.
do need to like start prepping for that this year.
Oh, are we doing that this year?
We should.
We should.
It'll
Yeah.
probably be the last one in this house, but I don't know. We'll see.
Whoa.
End of an era.
Got to shut it down.
Yeah.
It's closing time. Semisonic.
We are starting to run out of room in this house. The children are getting,
Yeah.
because like this time last year, we had 4 adults and 2 children living in the house, and it felt a little snug, but it didn't feel terrible. And now it's 2 adults and 2 kids, and it's starting to feel
Terrible.
very terrible. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's
It's
stuff
just,
everywhere.
yeah. So there's all kinds of anxiety when you're trying to do that. Trying to decide,
Mhm.
do I build a house? Which, if you build a house,
Any house that I
for-
want
for
is going to be
us.
$550,000 minimum.
we're talking,
Yep.
And I don't
Potentially
feel like
two-
dropping that kind of.
2 kids, 2 dogs, potentially a 3rd kid.
Joe says that Elliot
Not
has.
yet. She's drinking an 11.5% beer.
No, not yet,
Yeah.
not yet. But if we wanted to,
Is this
I'm
the big
to-
reveal?
Yes, this is the big reveal.
no, this is not.
No.
I'm just saying. But if we're,
Joe says
we're
that Elliot
outgrowing
has
this
middle
house.
child energy, and I'm not quite sure how I feel about that yet.
Oh.
Now, does Elliot have middle child energy? Yes.
So I'm
But
right.
you can't tell that to his face.
No. And am I willing to throw another kid into the mix? I don't know.
But if we wanted to, we would have to move. I
Yeah.
think we're
We are not
outgrowing-
minimalist enough. Like, because if we had like 3 toys for the kids, we'd probably be fine. But the kids have like.
But you have a basketball hoop and a combo football throwing hole in your living room.
Yes.
Wait, is that why there's a hole in the thing?
Yeah, it's for throwing a football through it. Hence the football field directly underneath it.
Is there a football field underneath?
Yes, there's an end zone, a 10-yard line, and a 20-yard line on the
Okay,
back
let
of
me
that toy.
let me move.
I did not notice that. Elliot climbs through the hole and jumps off it.
So I didn't notice the soccer goal. So
It's like an all-in-one.
what's the back thing? Is that a
It's a slide, isn't it?
It's like a tunnel.
is that a water polo net?
This is
I guess it did come with a
I don't know.
basketball and a soccer ball and
And a football, yes.
I guess that's why.
I love that like Joe's just like peeling back the layers on this.
Well,
So, like,
so the kids currently use it as I am going to dive through this either feet first
Yeah.
or preferably
Yeah.
head first.
yeah.
I mean, we
That's
jump
why it's
off
facing
it.
the couch.
Yes, because
Well-
then they climb through it versus try to.
We brought up this
Fall through it.
climber
That's
to
very
give
fair.
the only audience of view of what we're looking at. It's a mini climber, which I had a version of this, when I was little.
Mhm.
But we brought this up. It was originally in the basement. They got it for Christmas, I think, last year.
Yes.
And the kids like to climb on the couch. I don't like it when they climb on the couch because
No, they weren't just climbing on the couch. They were climbing on the couch and climbing on the windows and trying to climb on anything that they could reach. And it was becoming an issue.
Yeah.
So he said, here is some constructive climbing.
go down the slide.
Yeah.
So no one's become a basketball or soccer star yet. I assume that no one's become a football star.
No,
It's facing backwards.
they
So
climb
I do
in
need to
and out
buy
of
us the
hole.
football for Halloween.
Oh, for
There's a blue football down in the basement.
I know, but it's too small. I need like an actual football.
Yeah.
Between that
Yep.
and yellow and a black zigzag on Joe's shirt, that will be what ties our whole costume together. Because I got to
Makes
send Lily to
sense.
school. I'm probably going to send her to school as Dorothy if the costume still
Dorothy!
fits her. Because
cute.
I got her a dress so she can be Sally, but she's not going to be recognized as Sally
Yeah.
without the rest of the
Yeah.
family, especially with like small children. They're not going to get like, oh, that's Peanuts.
Get the reference.
So I like have to buy her a costume for school versus this is what you're going as with the whole family.
Give her a
Toddlers these days,
basket.
so uncultured. They just don't even get the references.
Wow, Apple.
Says the people that don't understand. May the Schwartz be with you and Smorty.
That is true.
I'm the worst. I don't watch anything.
So
Yeah.
to be fair, the only reason why we watched Rick and Morty is because our friends Steven and Hillary told us. Well, they had the Clone Wars on DVD.
Rebels.
It was Rebels. No, it was the Clone Wars.
We were trying to catch up on Rebels.
We were trying to catch up on Rebels, the Star Wars TV cartoon series.
Mm.
And they said, okay, but you only get the next season of Rebels after you watch this season of Rick and Morty.
Well, someone already borrowed Rebels season 2 or something.
They made us watch Rick and Morty, and then we wanted to watch Rick and Morty. So
It's like a comedy. It's like an adult swim.
Yeah.
yeah.
I've heard of it.
Cartoon.
I'm sure I've seen an episode or 4, but I'm not a religious watcher. I don't watch almost anything.
I don't have
religiously
cable.
anymore.
I think you need cable.
I'm
One of the streaming Peacocks. I don't know if it's on Peacock, actually.
I'm not sure either.
I don't know if it's on. Anyway.
I just know that I'm used to being the biggest nerd in the room at this point.
Yeah.
Unless,
two
it's,
by two
unless
hand-
it's about aviation, in which I have you beat.
Yes. Oh, I have some stickers in my basement you might be interested in because I never put them up.
Well, our son, I told you, Brian, off the record, that you should be a YouTuber because apparently train spotting videos is a thing.
Yeah,
And also plane spotting, planes taking off and landing is a thing. And that's like what you used to do. Or maybe you still do that.
I think one of the I have two.
You don't
Yeah.
you don't like land the planes, but you build
watch
stuff.
them. Yeah. So yeah, for everybody else, my job is colloquially, I just build airports. My company works in aviation construction, and I've been out on airports for 5-7 years. I would say two of the coolest stories. One was right at the beginning of COVID. I'm in Detroit. And they were bringing in these military C-17s, which for everybody else are 4-engine jets. They're enormous. They're military cargo jets. And these things are built to bring in presidential motorcades or entire military forces in and out of battlefields very quickly. In this case, they were actually bringing medical supplies to Detroit for COVID. We're out on a taxiway exactly as close to the runway as we could be, and one of these lines up to take off. And this enormous plane takes off in less than half a mile right in front of us. Our cars were shaking. My body was jiggling. So much just raw power. One of the coolest things. The next one was actually in Cincinnati. I was working on one of the runways here. And Air Force One, I was right on the fence, and it landed about 450 feet away from me.
That's cool.
I know the FBI has my information and my fingerprints, and they know everything about me probably. I still don't know why I'm allowed to be 450 feet away from Air Force One. I have no idea why they trust me like that. So
I have two related stories. One, the day before that, I'm driving with Lily in the car, and I see a plane like stand still in the sky, and it's one of the giant
it's a C-17
C-17s carrying the motorcade for the president. And I know that Brian's working down at CVG. So I take a photo of it and I'm like, hey, this plane looks like it's just like standing over my house right now.
And I turned right and I look up and I said, oh, yep, there it is. The next day was the day the Air Force One flew in next to me.
And then, so close encounters with Air Force One, not my story, but a boss that I used to have when I was a co-op. He would fly gliders as a like fun hobby. So when I was working at GE, if my boss's boss was like, oh, hey, I'm not going to be here on Friday, like, sweet, okay, that's a thing. And then on Friday I could find 0 people that I needed to talk to because they're like all golfing or flying their planes. My manager was like, oh yeah, so one time I was going to take off from Lunken, and I knew it was going to be cutting it close because there were only so many times that I could choose from to actually go and fly out of Lunken. And so I'm like all prepped. I'm almost ready to go. And they're like, okay, we are going to clear you to take off in the next 20 seconds. And you need to be ready to take off in the next 20 seconds. Because if you're not, you're going to be stuck here for at least an hour. Because if you don't take off before Air Force One lands, you are stuck here for a very long while. And so he takes off as Air Force One is landing on almost the same runway and has to deal with the turbulence of Air Force One landing just so he can get the hell out of Dodge and actually do what he wants to do. And I'm like, yeah, I'm not going to fly my own plane, but you do you, bud. I'll go play golf with everybody else, or just kind of sit in my cube and read Dilbert because I can't do anything until you guys answer my questions.
Could you have taken a video of Air Force One landing, or would some like agent come along and be like, "We'll take your phone now, please"?
No,
Is that a security risk?
No, I have the video.
Yeah, I mean,
I could turn that into a YouTube and start my channel as Joe suggested.
yeah.
That was kind of my follow up. It's like, how can we?
Because
make
if you were
Objection,
outside the
leading the
gate,
witness.
if you were outside the gate,
I
you
was
could
out,
take
yeah.
the same video.
I was outside the secure area. In this particular instance, the construction fence, we had moved the security fence to right outside the safety area of the runway he landed on. And so we were outside the secured area, but 400 feet away from the center of the runway, which meant from the tip of the wing, we were 270-ish feet away from the tip of the airplane. Just bizarre. Really, really pretty cool. Seen Air Force 2 a couple times as well. A little less cool. That's just a 757. I've been in dozens of those. I've never been in a 747. Hashtag life goals. There aren't many left.
I don't know what planes I've been in.
I can almost
quite a
guarantee
few.
I haven't been in a 747. They're really hard to find now.
Well, because like I did a lot of flying when I was in elementary and middle school.
Then maybe.
Because we went to Florida a lot, and we would fly when we did that.
I could probably count the number of times I flew on my two hands.
Only child, I can't do
If
that.
I was to try to count up to 10 flights, I'd get back to July. Maybe no. I bet I'd actually only get back to mid-September.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the last time you guys were on, you were talking about your Christmas party, but before the Christmas party, you guys were going to go to England.
That's right.
Because it was Cinco de. It was supposed to be Christmas in January, and then it turned into Cinco de Mayo because everybody got COVID.
Omicron. Yeah.
Which was also the theme of our vacation to England.
Not that we got it, but we
did not.
We were running away from it.
Yeah. So, essentially, we left the day after Christmas, which meant at my family Christmases, we were essentially hiding from all the children.
The aunts
and uncles. We were just, I'd come up and talk to people and then leave. And like literally 2-minute spurts of talking to people and then ducking away. Just trying to make sure we didn't get it. We got over there perfectly fine. Flights were nice. The main purpose of this was to see Graham's grandma.
Graham's Graham.
My
Graham's Granny.
granny.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you got to pull out the accent.
No, I don't actually do that.
His British accent is pretty bad. It's really bad.
Brian loves to show up.
It's really bad.
Yeah. No. But yeah, so we saw my grandma. We saw some of my other extended family who we hadn't seen in 4 years. Gosh, yeah, 4.5 actually.
It is hard to get across the pond.
Yeah, and we had seen like maybe a year before kind of COVID first hit, and then it was like, well, there's nothing we could do if we wanted to.
Yep.
But yeah, it was good. We saw them outside of Oxford in England, and then we decided to do a couple days.
Well, before you move on.
Oh, please.
So Graham's cousin got his doctorate degree from the University of Oxford.
Oh, wow.
Oh, yes.
Which, if there's
That's
a few
very
scenes from Harry Potter filmed inside that school. And as he's an alumni, we were allowed. The school was closed for Christmas. There were no students. There were very few tourists in at all. They weren't allowed, and it was the middle of Omicron, so there weren't any tourists. Period.
Yeah.
He was allowed in to give us a private tour. So the stairs where Harry and Ron run up in Prisoner of Azkaban, and McGonagall is sitting there and yells at them after hitting the tree.
Oh, yeah.
We were on those stairs basically by ourselves.
Yeah.
The food hall, the dining hall for the students, which is the model of the Great Hall, we were in there with like maybe 3 other people.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
Like,
Can I make friends with your cousin?
Yeah.
He's a very sweet guy.
Yeah.
But we just had a really, really cool private tour of some of these cool Harry Potter things that wasn't even the plan, but it was just really neat. And,
I mean, it's that little stuff.
Was there snow too?
It was not. It was cold.
It was really cold. They don't get as much snow. It just gets cold.
Remember, this
Yeah.
is in Oxford and not in Scotland where
Right.
Yeah.
Hogwarts is supposed to be.
Right. Yeah.
But speaking of Scotland,
There was snow in Scotland.
there was plenty of snow in Scotland. So we, I travel a ton. I don't turn in points a lot. So in this particular trip, I turned in all of my rental car points and got a little Mercedes to drive up there and back. The car was fantastic.
Stick shift?
It was not, which I'm actually thankful for when we were driving through the Scottish Highlands.
Yeah.
In the snow.
I don't think I could do a stick shift.
I could figure it out, but it'd be rough.
Yeah, theoretically I could.
I grew up on it. My first car was a stick shift. So
and then you're on the right side of the road on top of
That's the other thing is I don't know about that. So I did perfectly fine driving on the left, not a problem at all.
You did really well. There was not. I don't think there was a single time that I had
Once.
to say, there was.
We were leaving once. We were leaving a parking garage in Edinburgh, and that's the only time it got me is that we all go right to get out of the
Wow.
left.
I said right.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
I meant left.
So yeah, and so I stayed right to leave the garage, and that was the entrance. I had to back up and go, but it wasn't in the middle of the street. There was no one around. My one mistake was nothing major.
Well, and like you can tell where the major tourist centers are in Great Britain because they actually have because when you're like all the crosswalks have signs or like paint on the road that says like look left.
This way. Yeah.
And because you're used to looking, look right because you're used to looking left.
Yes.
Because cars normally come from the left, but no, you got to look right.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Because the cars are going to come at you from the right first before they come from the left.
Mm-hmm.
And then please mind the gap between the train and the platform.
All the time.
Yeah.
So we get to Edinburgh.
Gorgeous.
Lots of cobblestone streets, and I'm driving this little sports car with these little teeny tires.
Mm-hmm.
The cobblestones blew the sidewall out of the tire.
Oh no.
Oh man.
It was in the middle of like 4 straight federal holidays. No enterprises were open. It's a really fancy car with really fancy tires.
Oh, you probably need a special key to actually get those.
So it
bolts off.
It stayed relatively inflated. I just kept putting air in it, and it never got below like 15 or 16 psi. We managed to drive another 1,500 miles on this tire because nothing was open. We had no choice. There was nothing we could do.
Oh my God.
Well, because I mean, people
not even mechanic shops were open. There were bank holidays.
So
nothing.
They have a lot of
there
bank
are
holidays.
definite downsides to. We don't have a ton of national holidays, and there aren't like a ton of times where people get off work. But I mean, people can also upcharge the crap out of people on holidays versus like England and France, where it's like, we are on holiday, we will do nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Good luck with your life.
Entire month of August, Europeans are gone.
Yeah.
So we're in Edinburgh, and at this point, we still had to drive all the way to Inverness and then down to Loch Ness, and then we wanted to go near Balmoral.
I want to go to Balmoral,
and we did all that driving on a bum tire, including whiteout conditions going over the mountains in the Highlands.
Oh my goodness!
And so we are. I mean, the whole time it's just an absolute. I'm just a nervous wreck driving this car. I'm thinking this tire's going to blow out in the middle of nowhere, and I mean
nowhere.
The middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
Well, because here's the other crazy thing that like I've heard about England is people are like, oh yeah, my gran lives so far away. I only get to see her like 3 times a year. And they're like, well, how far away does she live? Well, it's like a 40-minute drive.
Yeah.
That's literally like 3/4 of my commute to work.
Yeah.
Like, that's not a problem. Like, I would do that to go pick up dinner. Like, that's
His
fine.
family looked at us like we were insane for driving from London to Edinburgh. That's an 8-hour drive.
Yeah.
That's literally like driving from here to Atlanta.
We've done that like 10 times.
I know. These people don't do it. There's also trains, but we wanted to drive.
But I mean, there's also the stereotype where like in the Midwest, if you live in the Midwest, if you're going to go somewhere, you're not going to catch a plane. You're just going to drive there. It's like, oh, it's 12 hours. It's fine. That's a quick, easy drive.
It's true.
So anyway, we're going up this mountain. It's whiteout conditions. The snow is, the whole road is. I get behind this little like box truck, FedEx or something, and he is going like 15 miles an hour.
Mm-hmm. Because it's a box truck.
Up an incline.
Mm-hmm.
I had no choice. I crossed the line and passed him illegally and merged back over because my thought was if this thing has to come to a stop, there is absolutely no way that I'm getting over this mountain.
Yeah.
And that is a common misconception. Yes, you shouldn't be going 60 miles an hour in snow. You also shouldn't be going 10.
Well, so the big thing is you need to know how your car drives.
Yes.
Because I recall, I think my current employer is similar to my old employer, where unless it's a level 3 snow emergency, I'm expected to be in the office. Now, I will bring my laptop home and I will be like, hey, I am working from home because I am not going to risk my life. But before working from home was an option, I drove to work in level 2 snow emergency conditions. And like I'm driving up a giant hill in my dinky little 06 Honda Civic, having zero issues while I watch people in Jeeps and trucks try to go faster than me, but can't because they have no weight in their back end. So I'm just like, no, I am going to go into the high-speed lane and speed past all of you because I don't want to have to deal with your dumbass fishtailing in the highway because you don't know that you need to go 50 miles an hour at the most because your car cannot handle these conditions.
Yeah.
Yep. And for the record, I don't drive a Mercedes D-Class at home. I drive a Nissan Rogue. But this Mercedes handled like a champ.
Yeah.
I mean, it was like a dream. Even on a bum tire, that car handled so freaking phenomenally. There were moments we like came over a peak and it is whiteout conditions and I can't see a thing. And then I like, oh, there's a fence, turn right. No problem. Like no skids, nothing. It drove like a dream. And then we ended up finally getting back to our hotel near Balmoral Castle. Yes, where the Queen just passed away. We were probably about a mile away from there. And had this really charming little hotel that I turned in some Hilton points for that had a living room with a fireplace. And so we like opened the doors, turned the fireplace on, and it's snowing outside in Scotland. We woke up with like little birds chirping and all these trees were, it was so freaking charming.
Oh my God.
So while we were in Scotland, like the complete opposite time of year, because we were there in July and we're just like hanging out in this pub. It's not super dark outside. So we're like, oh, it can't be that late. The pub is still fairly packed. Oh, it's fine. Oh, it's like 10:30 at night.
Oh, yeah.
Don't you people have jobs?
10:30 on like a Tuesday.
Yeah. Why?
In July.
Why isn't the sun setting? Oh, this is what the sun looks like this time of year.
Oh, wait. The sun's not going to set for another 2 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It doesn't set.
Like it sets for
We
like
had blackout curtains.
it sets for like an hour. And then we get to London and we're like, and it's like, oh, it's last call, and we're like, it's like 9:15. What are we supposed to do for the
London's
next
like
2
that.
hours?
Yeah.
Where can we?
Yeah, you have to find a club. That's what at least I understand about London is it's a pub that closes at 9 and then you go to a club.
We
Which-
missed that memo.
Not our thing, so we've never
Not
done
our
that.
thing
Well,
either, which is why
I mean,
we missed
we
that
tried
memo.
to find food. I mean, we saw the
Yeah,
So we-
Agatha Christie play.
Yeah, we
What's
saw
it
the
called?
Mousetrap, and we're like, oh, we'll just get dinner afterwards because it's
Yeah.
London. Something will be open. The only thing open is an American's 50s diner.
Yes.
there you go.
And they're like, oh, you're American and you're eating here? And we're like,
You're the only
it's
thing
literally
open,
the
honey.
only thing open.
I'll
And just
tell
like, you
ya,
can't tell people that. And I'm like, I'm telling people that because it's the truth. I would not be eating a Chicago chili dog if I didn't have to.
Let your colleagues know. Stay open later.
Yeah.
No.
One of the really cool things about being married to someone who is an English citizen and having family over there is that once we got back to London the night before we left, his cousin and his husband invited us over for dinner.
Nice.
So they lived on like the 26th floor of some high rise overlooking the skyline. They're both doctors. And they made us dinner and we just sat there and had wine and just had family time in London. It's just bizarre, not the world that I ever thought I'd be in, but it's kind of it's a cool thing to be married to someone who's got family.
Do you want to
International.
adopt some people?
Yeah.
Sure, come with us next time.
Yeah, come over.
Yeah,
Show
come
you
with
the
us next time.
sights.
Like we definitely left stuff off of the list when we went. So to be like, okay, this is our reason to go
Yeah.
back next time.
Yep.
What'd you leave off?
Let's see here. So there was some.
We did all the tourist stuff.
We did like all the super touristy things, but like, I want to go to Balmoral. I want to go to Windsor.
Yeah, we didn't even do those. We were right there, but they were closed.
Yeah.
She was there.
Like I'm kind of over Paris. We only
I didn't
went
like
once.
Paris. Yeah.
Graham's only been to Paris as a 4 month, 2-year-old.
Yeah. So like there were some really delicious restaurants.
I like the Palace. And
Versailles.
Versailles was nice.
Versailles,
Sorry, my
Versailles.
my Midwest came out there for a second.
Schwartz beer.
So for those of you that don't know, there's this place called Versailles, Kentucky that looks a lot like
Indiana.
Versailles.
And Versailles, Indiana, which is where a Boy Scouts camp is.
There's one in both. Because
both of them or all of them are named after Versailles.
Yeah, but then there's Versailles in Paris.
Outside of Paris.
Or outside of Paris in France. So we went there and that was really nice. I want to do that again.
That's a gorgeous place, yeah.
Because like even just like if you don't go in the castle and you just like see the grounds.
We rented bikes.
Mm-hmm. We biked around.
We
That's
biked
nice.
around, yeah.
Yep.
That was fun. You
Yep.
had lemonade like a princess.
Orange juice.
You had orange juice like a princess.
Yep.
Sorry.
The Versailles orange trees are very famous.
Mm-hmm.
I guess that like get right. Once upon a time, that would have been like super fancy and luxurious to have orange juice.
Oh, orange
Yeah.
orange juice in Europe.
Yeah.
Because oranges are grown in the tropics,
Yeah.
not in France.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like I would do Disneyland Paris again because that was
Oh,
fun.
that would be interesting.
And that's like definitely you can do that as a park hopper versus like people that do like park hopper in Orlando. I'm like, dude, why even bother? Like just do a park a day. But like now you can't even do like, well, you maybe could, but like it's not as easy to say like, well, I'm going to do the Animal Kingdom this day. And that same day is when I'll do Disneyland Springs because now Animal Kingdom actually has like night stuff that goes on because it used to be like Animal Kingdom closed at like 4. So, okay, now I can go do other stuff, but now everybody has a night show and
Interesting.
Avatar Land, which I still have not seen Avatar.
I haven't either.
I haven't either.
I don't know if I care to.
No one at this table has.
No.
Good.
I have seen like
Good.
portions
It's like
of it.
it was like the record-breaking movie for forever.
Yeah. So like when
I don't know.
it was
Go
either
see
like when
Bros,
HD
gay rom-com.
it had to have been like when HD TVs were becoming a thing. My uncle bought an HD TV and had Avatar on
I'm sure it's
probably
beautiful.
Blu-ray when Blu-ray was new.
Yeah,
and so
I'm
like he
sure
was
it's
playing that
beautiful.
in the background while we were doing other stuff. And like I saw bits and pieces of it.
Interesting.
I have seen enough summaries / the Simpsons couch gag that I kind of understand what the movie is about. I still have zero desire to see it.
Yeah, what's the story like? I don't even know what the story is.
I think it's like a ripoff of like Fern. Do you remember Fern Gully, like the animated film from our childhood?
We're not that old.
No.
Oh my!
We're the same age.
Yeah. Dear Wikipedia, when did Fern Gully come out? No,
So
but
it's like military people are trying to invade this alien space, and in order to do that, like it's like a combination of The Matrix and I don't even know what.
And then
Fern
they go-
Gully.
Fern Gully. So like
I've
because they
never
go
heard of
into
this.
these pods
You
and
have
then
to show me a
take
picture.
over a body of someone from the land of Avatar. I don't even know where Avatar comes into play. They're these giant blue people.
Yeah,
And they've
I
got these
understand the blue
tails.
people.
And the
Fern Gully.
and you like you gotta find a ride and like they're trying to take over their resources or something, and this military dude is like trying to invade them to learn more about them as one of them, and then falls in love with somebody. And I don't even know if this is right. I'm just making stuff up at this point.
All right,
Hilarity
let's
ensues.
Let's move on.
Apparently they're gonna make like 3 or 4 more movies, but Avatar Land exists at Animal Kingdom now.
Hey everyone, Joe Ludwig here with the one and only Caroline.
Hey.
Before we get to the main topic of today's episode, we wanted to pause briefly and tell you about how you can support the show.
So if you enjoy listening to the podcast and reading our blog posts every week, then you now have the opportunity to support the show through Buy Me a Coffee. Here's what you need to know. It's super easy to do. You don't have to set up an account to contribute. You have options. Send us a one-time donation or sign up as a member to contribute on a monthly or yearly basis. Plus, you can unlock exclusive content.
To learn more about how you can support the Craft Parenting Podcast through Buy Me a Coffee, click the link in the show notes. And now, back to the show. Let's move on then from Avatar. Anything else from your trip from England? You guys, I want to catch us up on everything that you've done. in the
Oh, good
last-
luck with that one.
I know, but
I think the only really... So Graham and I we are not touristy people. Generally, we like to stay away from the big tourist traps if we can avoid them. If they're really things that we really want to see, we will absolutely do them.
If you haven't seen the Churchill War Rooms, those were nice.
I have not. I don't know if you
I've seen them. Yeah,
You have.
Oh my
I have
God,
not.
it was just
We'll
so
probably do that at
interesting.
some point. But we went. One of the last stops of our little tour. We went to Liverpool.
Ooh.
And we did this really, really corny Beatles tour.
Okay, now Joe can tell you level of corniness based on your description of this tour versus his parents' description of the Sound of Music tour in Austria.
Oh, well, I've done that tour too. I think this was, let's call it more...
British?
Less polished?
Let's call it more Liverpoolian.
Liverpudlian.
Lowbrow. We were in a black cab with psychedelic images of the Beatles all over the outside. On the inside,
Had you done ayahuasca before this tour?
should've.
Because
It
it
would've
might
been
have been
we
necessary.
really should have been on something.
I am the walrus.
Essentially, we took this black cab around all of Liverpool to mostly childhood homes of the four Beatles, and then not so childhood homes, so like teenage homes, and then adult homes. Essentially, we took a cab to the Beatles' homes for 3 hours. The cool things that we did get to do is we got to go to Penny Lane, and we did get to go to one of the churches in one of the suburbs of Liverpool, where they actually played their first thing together.
Oh, nice.
And that is where the grave of Eleanor Rigby is.
Yeah, it's like the name on a tombstone.
And it's not Father Mackenzie, but there's blank Mackenzie a couple tombs down. And we got to go to a couple other places. It was kind of neat. What we
the
learned,
Sound of Music tour sounds a little bit better at this point.
Yes, no, 100%. As someone who's done both, Sound of Music tour in Salzburg, way better. However, one of the really interesting things is that, the drummer
Ringo Starr.
Ringo, where Ringo grew up. Literally, you walk up the alley, turn left, and then turn right, and that is the street, the brownstone street that by order of the...
I am not a
Oh,
Beatles.
Peaky Blinders.
Peaky Blinders.
okay.
By order of the Peaky Blinders. That's where Peaky Blinders was filmed.
Oh, nice.
And down, like literally around the corner from where Ringo Starr had his teenagers.
Okay,
Am I gonna say it
Caroline.
or am I going to say it?
Caroline, say the Family Guy joke.
Look, everybody. Ringo wrote a song. Let's go put it on the fridge.
Kind of. Yeah, but it was a cool tour, and Liverpool was a very interesting place.
Yeah, I liked Liverpool.
Yeah, we went to who recommended us an Indian place?
Oh,
It wasn't your uncle, was it?
I don't know how we found that spot. I think it was like the bartender at the hotel bar.
It might have been.
yeah.
Because the big joke, too, is like, England conquered the world for their spices and then
right.
used none of them.
Yep. So we go to this Indian restaurant. It's from a very specific region. It's the region where Graham's uncle was from. And we get in there, and it is a restaurant that probably can seat 2,000 people. And I bet there was 100 people in the restaurant.
Oh, if there was like
maybe
12 of us.
maybe 12 of us.
Yeah.
And so
Well, but see, here's the thing you have to realize, that because Indian weddings can be huge,
Yes.
and they
Yeah.
probably need to use that like every Friday.
and it's right next to like a big event center. I'm sure there are times where it gets packed. In this case, cavernous. And so we're sitting there. We order a naan. And he goes, "Oh yeah, would you like that family size?" And we go, "Yeah, we'll do the bigger size."
We've been out and about all day. We're kind of hungry.
We're hungry.
And that fucking waiter walks back from the kitchen a few minutes later. He's carrying it himself, and it is probably a square yard of naan. This thing was probably
hanging
it was hanging from a hook. It was probably 3 feet tall and a foot wide. A naan for 2 people.
So the American equivalent is a child-sized soda.
It was literally the size of your daughter.
Literally.
Okay,
This waiter had the biggest shit grin on his face because he talked us idiots into doing something really stupid. But the food was delicious. We had a great time. It was a good dinner. At least we were laughing at ourselves too by the time he walked up. It was really funny.
I mean, I would have just eaten the whole thing. Carbs are life.
We ate so much food, and there wasn't. We had to take it back to our hotel.
But we had it for breakfast.
Oh yeah,
this
we
morning.
ate it. Don't worry.
It was cute.
No, I kind of forgot about that.
I did too.
Child-sized naan.
I had completely forgotten about that.
And Lily is a very large child
And
for a 3-year-old.
It was so big.
It was very something else. I'm gonna find a picture for them off to the side. Y'all can't see it, but
Okay. Well, we can probably share it if you send it to me. If you do find it. So you got back from England, and we had to postpone the Christmas party
yes, we did.
because
So it became the Christmas and Cinco de Mayo party.
yeah. But was that before the Cinco de Mayo party that you went to Napa Valley, or was that after?
That was so Napa was March. It was over my spring break.
So it would have been
It was
before.
before
Yeah.
the Christmas party.
Yeah.
So tell us about Napa. This is in Northern California.
Yeah.
So we actually started the trip. We fly into San Francisco. We actually did Paso Robles, which is about 4 hours south of San Francisco first.
Oh, cool.
It's probably 2/3 of the way to LA. So that's a wine region known for Zinfandels and, big bad reds.
Oh, yum, yum, yum.
In general, they had a really big complex about how Napa wasn't as good as them or something.
I mean, I can understand that, but also having been to Napa and having been told on 20 tours, there are 6 flavors of soil in the world, or there are 7 flavors of soil in the world, and 6 of them live in Napa.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
try to.
Well, I can see,
I can see having a complex about it.
But Sonoma has the same complex. So it seems like anybody in California that isn't Napa has this complex about not being Napa. We first really noticed it in Paso. We actually had some very, very good wines. Denner was a really good one. We actually had a really, really nice dinner, and we just talked to the Somm at this dinner, and we're like, hey, we like this kind of wine. And he goes, got one. He brings it out. It's a place called Alta Colina. They make 3,000 barrels a year.
Oh, snap.
Teeny.
Yeah.
Before we left town the next day, we drove out there and bought some because this wine was so freaking good. Then we drove out to the Pacific Coast Highway and literally drove the coast all the way up to the Golden Gate Bridge. That drive is stunning.
It looks stunning from photos, and I want to do it.
You have got to do that once in your life. We went down to a beach and there's seals laying on the beach, suntanning themselves, and then we went up to this
we
cliff
saw the
and-
seals in San Francisco.
Yeah, we definitely went on the top of a cliff, didn't pull off to the side of the road, pop a bottle of champagne and drink and eat lunch out the back of our car.
Definitely.
That
We're
is
driving
not-
along cliffs.
That was
hanging.
nice.
Yeah.
That was nice.
That is not a West Side Cincinnati thing to do, so
No.
you're fine.
We didn't definitely do that with East Siders.
Okay, so the only thing
they
that I've learned
live
about
in
East
Blue
Siders
Ash.
is they wish that they were West Siders.
Yeah, they like to act like they were because they don't have that learned behavior of
Yeah.
craziness.
So, sidebar, there are lots of neighborhoods that are being started around our area. And so I posted in my nice moms group where all they do is ask questions, and it's very I'm not necessarily going to say hoity-toity, but it's uppity kind of people of I want to try to find a place that everything is organic and very natural, and I need this $3,000 bassinet that my child's only going to
We
use for
call
3
this
months.
crunchy granola.
There's lots of crunchy people in them in this group, and I was like, hey, what builders do you like and what builders don't you like and why? And no one said boo. And then I have my West Side Moms group where I'm like, hey, everybody ignored me in my other group, but you are who I really want to live by. What builders do you like? What builders don't you like and why? And this is kind of our criteria for what we want. I'm like, 4 to 5 bedrooms because he needs an office that he can work from home from. And a guest room would be nice to have so his sister can stay the night and watch her kids. Has to be walkable, like as far as like we can walk the neighborhood. And I need to be able to walk the neighborhood while holding a beer with my kids. Because
Put that in a
Because end of
criteria.
statement. Why
Yeah.
do you need to justify why you need to drink a beer while walking your kids?
no, like,
Because end of statement.
None of your business.
and I actually like I
None.
finally got people that were like, "Oh, yes, queen." Like,
Yes, quad.
this is where you need to move, and this is why you need to live next to me. And I'm like, finally, I'm actually getting responses on stuff.
Nice.
I also did not drink a White Claw in a parking lot of a very well-known West Side establishment this weekend.
Oh, boy, facility.
Ain't no laws when you're drinking claws. Everybody at the wedding party found that hilarious, and I'm like, how have you not heard this before?
This is why you were the life of the party.
Apparently.
Because it was a low bar.
I also drank the groom under the table, and I wasn't even trying.
Yeah.
It wasn't even trying.
Yeah,
I
right?
wasn't. But I'm
Don't
also
you hate that when you're not even trying and you're like, how is everyone else drunk? I've been drinking
like-
laps around these people.
So this is like another sidebar, but
Sidebar to the sidebar. We haven't gotten back from the first sidebar.
we haven't.
I'm keeping track.
Say, oh my.
My friend's aunt like got the house ready and put 2 bottles of champagne or sparkling grape juice, sparkling wine, and 2 bottles of orange juice in the fridge. And I was like, well, if we don't pop one of these bottles, like she's gonna be pissed. So we at least have to finish one of these bottles while we're here. So I make myself like a half solo cup mimosa. And while I'm getting my hair done, one of the girls is like, oh, you need a top off. And I'm like, yes, I probably do. So here's my cup. And the woman who made my drink was told by the other people she did not put enough champagne in the orange juice to champagne ratio. So she comes back with a full to the brim solo cup of mimosa,
What?
which is
like
finally the right ratio.
a splash of orange juice.
And it was probably like a third orange juice.
Oof, too much,
So-
but okay.
Yeah. I mean, she definitely didn't make it right, but she tried. Her heart was in the right place. She
like
doesn't know better, so it's fine. So I had 2 of those. So I had a short and a tall mimosa. I had 3 White Claws. And then I drank a bunch at the reception. And then I'm 1,000 for O. Because the first one's the one where you're winning, right?
Yes. Yes.
So I'm 1,000 and O for attending events and getting free shots. Because everybody has an Uncle Mike.
You've got an Uncle Mike.
I have an Uncle Mike.
I
Yeah.
don't have an Uncle
And I have
well,
a cousin Mike.
Well, you have an Uncle Mike now because you married into an
Oh,
Uncle
that's
Mike.
true.
Yeah.
Well,
He
I
lives
don't
in my
have
grandmother's
Uncle
house.
Mike.
I mean, technically, I don't either, but it's fine. So I'm
Spiritually, we
like
don't have an Uncle
hanging
Mike.
out with the bride's cousin, and we're talking and like picking up for old times. And Uncle Mike comes by and is like, "Hey, I want the bride to do a shot." And I'm like, "Okay, we can make that happen." Like the bride does not like shots, but like I am here to support her and make sure that she has a good experience. So I will find a shot that she will enjoy, so both her and her uncle can have a good night.
We went to the farm, by the way.
Oh,
Which if
a
you've
classic.
if you've been to the farm once, you've been to the farm. The pay
That's a fact.
Sometimes I think if you haven't been to the farm, you can imagine being at the farm.
Yes.
the pay so for
It hasn't
reference,
changed.
the pay phones are still there. They just don't work anymore because they're no longer connected. So we go up to the bar and he wants tequila. And I'm like, oh, Lord, no, I cannot get this girl to do tequila. I am not allowed to do tequila shots anymore because bad things happen when I do tequila shots. I know this about myself. We have boundaries. So I'm like, do you have apple schnapps? Because everybody should have apple schnapps. And she's like, no, but I have like this candy apple liquor that's really good with some club soda. I'm like, okay, well, we'll do that. And that actually tasted pretty good.
Yeah.
And she didn't make a crazy face like she did when I handed her champagne that morning. So it worked out. Moral of the story is I'm really good at talking my way into alcohol without talking my way into free alcohol.
Uncle Mike bought her a shot
Yeah, because
along with the bride
yeah, so I got a
and
free shot of
like
it.
3
not?
other people.
Why not?
Meanwhile, the groom was puking in a bathroom somewhere. So
Yeah, so Napa.
Yeah. So
Napa
we-
was
yeah.
gorgeous.
So after driving at the Pacific Coast Highway, we stayed in Sonoma and kept driving over to Napa.
So we stayed in Napa and we drove to Sonoma one day, but like I think we drove to Sonoma on Tuesday. Everything's closed on Tuesday.
Everything's closed on Tuesday in Napa and Sonoma. But anyway, I mean, it was just really one of the more relaxing times. And
it was like the perfect weather.
Yeah, it was 60s
It's so
and
gorgeous
70s.
out
It
there.
was sunny.
So
It
chill.
was,
Were
2
you
or 3
telling us
wineries a
that
day.
you had
Just-
record rain in Napa?
That was a different Napa trip.
It was a different Napa.
That
You've
was a-
been there multiple times.
That was a work Napa trip.
Which is
Okay.
fun, but no fun.
Yeah, that was more. We had less time.
Yes.
We were on someone else's timeline.
But
for
that's
that.
actually a really interesting story, so I will tell it. Graham came with me. We were out there for a conference. We were staying at a Wyndham. I'm not a Wyndham member. I've never done that. We get upgraded somehow for this conference to a villa that had like 3 rooms and a fireplace and an outdoor porch overlooking a fairway of a golf course. That's important for the next part of the story. There's a
Golf
golf
course
path.
important, check.
There's a golf path just running kind of right down the middle of it. We get there on Saturday. The conference starts on Sunday. Me and my coworker and Graham and his fiance, we all go out to wineries. We hit 1, 2, 3. We knew that we only had one day, so we did 5 wineries in one day.
I mean,
That's
I want to say we
ambitious,
hit like 4 in a day when we were there.
and
so.
that's adventurous.
I
5
think
is
we did 3.
3 is reasonable. 5 is rambunctious.
Yeah.
We started splitting flights towards the end, so it wasn't too crazy.
It's a good idea.
But they also close at like 5.
They do because everyone goes to dinner.
Yeah.
So we had 5 wineries. By the time we got to the 4th, it had started raining. By the time we got to the 5th, it was downpouring. By the time we got back to our hotel room, that golf path was a stream. We went to dinner. By the time we got back from dinner, that golf path, that fairway, was a 300-foot river.
Oh, my
Almost
goodness.
up to our villa, whatever the heck they called it. We woke up in the morning and literally, I mean, it was just surging water. It was still raining. It was monsooning. It rained like 40-something inches in 36 hours.
Oh my God.
And
Yeah.
the river was maybe 20 feet away from our back porch. Just an insane thing.
So, as a civil engineer, you probably know more about this than I do. But like, I saw a video. It was probably TikTok that turned into an Instagram reel because I still refuse to do TikTok, where it was like if we take dry soil versus damp soil versus wet soil, and we turn a glass over on top of them that's full of water, how quickly they absorb the water, and like the damp and the wet soil will absorb them relatively quickly. Versus the dry soil, it just sits and sits and sits, which is why you go through long periods of drought and then have heavy rain. It does 0 good things for you. It just keeps running away because the soil is not prepared to accept it.
Nope. Yep. And so that was this case very, very, very intensely. And what was really interesting, we were at one of the wineries and we were talking to the person serving us wine, and they said every grape in Napa Valley got picked by today. And we were just like, that kind of blew our minds. I don't know that much about grape growing, grape harvesting. They said every grape in Napa Valley was picked by today. Because as soon as because those grapes, they starve the grapevines intentionally for flavor, and all that rain, all the grapes would have just exploded. So like every grape in Napa Valley was picked by today.
The
And I was
harder
like,
the roots have to work, the more sweet the grapes are, which means the more sugar they have. So the more wine, the more alcohol you can get out of them.
and I just never thought about literally when you never hear a statement like every, always. And when someone said every grape in Napa Valley was picked by today, I was just like, huh.
So what year was that?
That was 2021.
Yeah, October.
October of 2021.
So 2015, Napa Valley was in a severe drought. Like to the point where we were mildly feeling guilty about like getting water refills when we went to restaurants, and I was like,
They were very ambitious.
Am I
about the
allowed?
water refills.
am I allowed to fill the bathtub? Like, is there a hose pipe ban or anything like that? And they're like, oh, no, you do what you want. Like, y'all are the tourists. We do what we want for you guys. And I'm like, okay. And we like go winery after winery, and they're like, 2015 will be the best grapes ever.
And it was.
2016, if we don't get any rain, it's going to start going downhill.
Mm.
Because since 2015 was the last year of like, we are allowed to have a drought before this becomes a problem.
Mm-hmm.
Because the goal is to make grapevines work by sucking up water, and then they make grapes, and then they make leaves. And so if they have to work harder to make roots, they don't make as many leaves. So then the grapes are better. So by it being a little bit drier, they had to work a little bit harder on the roots than they did on the leaves. So it's going to be a better grape yield. But 2016 was not going to be as great. So we didn't get to have any 2015 wine while we were there because it was, in fact, 2015. But all the wine we had was delicious.
Yeah, can confirm. Both that wine was delicious and the few 2015s that I have had have been good.
Yeah. But like, I think there was an earthquake a year or two before we had gotten there. And they were talking, it was after.
There was before, and then there was a really big one after also.
Yeah, because they were talking about the libraries that were lost. We're like, books. And they're like, oh, wait, no, that's wine.
Just wine bottles.
Wine. Because libraries of wine.
Why wouldn't you have that secured? I don't know.
I don't know either.
These are all, and most of the people that own these wineries own tech companies and engineering companies and law firms. And it's like, you're a really smart person,
but you're really dumb sometimes.
but you didn't think about, screwing your wine rack to the wall in a earthquake zone.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's a reason why there are 6 different flavors of soil out of the 7 possible different flavors of soil in Napa Valley. And it's because of tectonic plates and earthquakes.
And volcanoes.
Volcanoes, mostly.
And rivers.
Yeah.
So.
Because that once every century event has to happen once a century, which could be during your lifetime.
Might as well. Yeah. So we're going to Greece next year.
Oh, no.
Those are my people.
Those are your people.
I know those are your people. We're going to Greece next year with his parents.
Man.
That's cool.
Can I
So we'll
store
talk
away
about-
in your
we'll talk-
luggage?
Yes,
please.
Go ahead.
Okay. Love you, hun. Although I am. So my
I
dream.
feel like you could just buy a ticket.
I probably could.
Right where there's air,
So my dream was crushed, but I understand it. The place where I work has a policy where if you work in like the report directly to the C-suite or sit directly outside the C-suite's offices, you are not allowed to have any other family members that work there because then you know too much. There was a job posting that was perfect for Joe. But because of the situation, we could not both work for the same company if he got it.
Yeah.
But like I had already pictured like dreams of like, we will both find a reason to be in Europe for 2 weeks for work for the same time
Yeah.
and hire a nanny and just go do stuff at night with the children
Yeah.
and then take a week or 2 off work afterwards and just have a European trip. So now I just got to find a reason for Joe to take off 2 or 3 weeks of work and me to be in Germany for 2 or 3 weeks.
There you go.
I'm confident you will find this reason.
Oh, I'm sure I will.
Yeah.
I've got plenty of crazy stuff going on at work right now. Like, so it sucks mildly that I'm going to be showing up at work late tomorrow, but I'm also like, me showing up at work late puts me there at the perfect time to be all boss lady itch for this major project we have going on.
So before we move on, Brian, did you want any more water?
Probably.
Yeah.
So how many bottles did you guys bring home from Napa?
Bring home. So we went with another couple. What we brought ourselves was 14 bottles
Between the two couples.
between the two couples. What we ordered and got shipped to Cincinnati was
50 something.
50 bottles.
So that's what I wanted to do. But at the time, the laws weren't as great. So
Yeah.
not as many places were shipping. Or it's like, we can ship. So it's like, you can ship 6 bottles for free.
Yeah.
But, we only ship 2 bottles to your region. And I'm like, well, I had 3 bottles that I wanted 2 of each of.
Yeah.
Yep.
I don't want 3 of each of 2 bottles.
Yeah. And what we did find for anybody that is going to Napa is, so our first trip out, the monsoon trip, we bought roughly 12 bottles and I paid to ship them back through the hotel. We paid more to ship those 12 bottles back than we paid in shipping for the nearly 60 bottles we shipped back from this last trip.
Yeah.
And those were all shipped directly from the wineries. So we'd go to a winery, and we went to like 25 wineries or something over
the
10
course
days.
of the week, yeah.
An insane number. We're never going to do that again. Way too many. But we spent less money shipping back on this trip, 60 bottles, than we did on the 12. Because we went straight through the wineries. They just have better opportunities, and they don't gouge you like the hotels do. So don't ship through your hotel. Ship through your winemaker.
And we didn't ship through our hotel. We did a wine tour, it was Platypus Wine Tours, which I hope still exists because it was a lot of fun.
It was very intimate. It was like
It's like a Cincy brew bus, but with wineries, and they gave you snacks.
Yeah, there was a picnic involved. It was like a short bus. It wasn't. I think Cincy brew bus is. That
It was a small party bus.
Is that a shorter? Or is that a school bus?
Yeah,
don't know.
no,
I've never been on a Cincy.
it's a short party bus.
Okay, well then I guess it is the same thing, but it's very open. It's like a party bus.
You're friends with all of the couples by the end of the trip.
Yeah, we had a lot of Aussies. We had an Aussie couple.
Well, that's bad news.
There were 2 couples that had they go to Napa like every 3 years, and this was their trip that year, and so all their kids were home.
I mean, they have like an insane amount of vacation.
Yeah, they get like 3 months a year.
It's ridiculous.
The entire month. It's
Yeah.
just Australia and Europe. Just entire month of August.
So they sold, but out of the back of the tour bus, they sold boxes to ship 12 bottles of wine home. So they sold cases with foam inserts. So we bought 2 boxes off of them. And we ended up just saying, because we mildly looked at shipping through UPS, but because it was the middle of June, it was so god awful hot outside that we were like, it's just going to be better overall if we take it on the plane with us and just add 2 checked bags, quote, to our luggage.
Yep.
And I want to say we probably paid like $120 to ship those 2 boxes home, but the boxes were with us the whole time, which made a big difference.
When we checked them.
But I had another conference in Sonoma recently.
Oh, you poor boy.
I know. I had another conference in wine country, and I actually took our friend's wine check bag. And in this case, I managed to bring 15 bottles home. 3 bottles were like the small dessert wine bottles that I rolled in my jeans.
That we still have, that we've said we were going to open like 20 times and never have.
So I had 3 of those rolled up in like jeans or something in my suitcase, and then I had another 12 bottles that I brought home in this wine check bag, and it works just great. Nothing, they're with you. They're not exposed to high temperatures. They're inside the plane. They're not exposed to low temperatures either, even in the cargo hold. Yeah, it works.
Yeah, because in July, well, it was technically June. Because in June they were saying like, we're not going to ship your bottles until September.
Yes,
but it was again like, well, we'll ship 6 bottles, but here's 1 or 2 bottles you can choose from to ship to Ohio. Hopefully things have opened up a bit more now. And if that was the case, we would have bought a lot more wine. Which, I mean, like I say, a lot more wine. Like we didn't buy.
It's a
20
dangerous habit.
I want to say we bought
27, 28 bottles. We
bought 27 bottles home, but we bought like 28 or 29 bottles because we bought like a Behringer estate wine that it was like a $5 bottle of wine, maybe a $10 bottle of wine at the most, that we then had to pay like a $10 corking fee to get it opened at a restaurant that we ate at. And then we had another bottle that we opened up when we were in San Francisco.
So the trip that we went for vacation, we found a winery that we liked, ZD.
Oh, ZD's delicious.
Delicious freaking wine.
It's right there in downtown Napa, right?
So they have a tasting room there. Their main room is out on Silverado Trail outside of St. Helena, I think.
I feel I remember.
It's
this.
really not very
ZD.
far from downtown St. Helena.
Was this a restaurant or a winery?
It's a
Sorry.
winery.
Okay, I remember this.
Yep. And so I was driving to this conference. So I stopped by and I was like, I actually want to join this wine club. This wine is so freaking good. And so we bought, I had a 12 wine check bag, right? Well, I get in there and I'm looking at like what I want to buy. I'm bringing home for somebody else as well. And I've got 10. And he goes, well, if you just add the 2, your whole price will be less than if you just paid for the 10. And I was like, okay. So I ended up having 12 bottles of wine, plus some others that I bought elsewhere. I had like 15 bottles, and I could only bring home like, maybe 13. So I had a drink too. It got to the last night. There was a conference party. I still had a bottle and a half left. I can drink a lot. I can't drink that much, and I don't want to drink that much by myself. That's stupid.
Wine is different than beer, though.
It is a lot, and a bottle and a half by yourself is a lot of volume.
But a bottle and a half isn't that bad when you pour it into a liter stein.
There we go.
It's all about the glassware.
Anyway, so I'm at this conference, and the open bar has this shitty wine, and I like sneak the bottle out to like the patio, and I start some of the people that I've been talking to that I've started to build relationships with over a lot of conferences. They go, hey, you like wine? Yeah. Come outside for a second. And they'd bring their wine glass out. I said, dump that in the grass.
This is where purses come in very handy.
And I start pouring these, like, what are you giving us? This is so good. ZD wines. That's all I got. It's so good.
Well, we got a refill. Do you want to talk about
yeah.
what you're packing over there? Because
other than 60 bottles of wine home from a 1-week trip in Napa, I am drinking West Side Brewing. It is a cold brew imperial stout with Deeper Roots cold brew coffee. Deeper Roots coffee, for those of you who don't know, are down at Findlay Market. They are delicious. Yeah. My husband regularly has their cold brews on Saturday mornings when we go shopping for groceries. This beer is 11.2%.
Oh man, you're
and my husband
beating me by
is
0.1%.
driving me home. And
no one's judging.
It's 62 IBU, so it's pretty bitter too. I might drink this after a couple IPAs. The tasting notes on the back. We infuse our imperial stout with some cold brew coffee from local roaster Deeper Roots. The roasty aromas of coffee meld with the beer's notes of chocolate, raisins, roast, and a light peppery note. More coffee leads the flavor with sweet malt flavors of dark fruit before being carried away by roast and ending in a fairly dry finish that keeps this beer drinkable.
It was a gorgeous reading. Wow.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, it was good. Yeah, so they brewed this. I think they only brewed one batch as far as
no kidding.
As far as cans go. It was a Black Friday release.
Maybe they'll do it again this year.
So this was canned in November of 21. So this can is almost a year old. 11 months.
Yeah, it was a Black Friday release last year.
Aged perfectly well.
Again, our fridge contains some oldies but goodies.
I mean, it's 11%. I mean, that takes it's a very situational type of beer. Like, it has to be the right situation.
It's cold outside, getting below freezing. This is the right situation.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, I'm not going to drink that in July, that's for sure.
Yeah, I made the mistake at Home Depot the other day being like, oh, maybe fire pits will be on sale. Oh, wait, it is peak fire pit season. I got to wait like another month and a half. Dang it.
Does everybody know what a red flag warning is now?
Yes.
Did we know what a red flag warning was before Saturday? Friday?
Friday. I think it was Friday.
What's a red flag?
It's apparently a fire risk warning. But no one in Cincinnati knows that. So everybody kept getting these push notifications about red flag warning. I don't know what that means. What are we at the beach? Is the surf on the Ohio River rough? Like yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So I was thinking more like dating red flags.
No. No. So on Friday or Saturday of this weekend.
It was Friday. It was because it was high wind, low humidity, which meant it was a risk of fire spreading. And so I guess they were like warning people like, please don't do bonfires tonight because you like might start a fire.
So
But no one knows what that means, and I still barely remember that. And
well, clearly you do because you're
well, I'm irritated because they just send out these random warnings, but they don't actually tell you what they are. And I like if
I got it, it just totally went over my head.
Yeah.
But I also know, like from Girl Scouts, like if I'm going to start a bonfire right now, it better be in a very good fire circle, and I better have a hose nearby because that ish gonna spread if I don't knock it down.
Yeah.
And let's not have any questionable gender reveals. They're gonna start a forest fire.
Yes. And let's also like not send out push notifications from weather folks without telling me what it is. They'll just say red flag warning, and then all I can see is high winds.
They need a good communications person.
Well,
So-
they just want you to click on it is all it is. So
It's
if it's a
clickbait.
serious weather situation, tell me what it is. Don't give me a push notification I have to click on.
Yeah.
Oh, so this was like a Weather Channel thing.
It was
Yeah.
like WLWT and WCPO and
Oh, I don't have any of that on my app on my phone.
Yeah. So like
Any of those apps.
I validate that Amber Alerts are real and are needed.
yes.
But I have 2 phones now. And I got an
Freaks you
Amber
out.
Alert on both phones
Oh, yeah.
while I was driving. And I'm like,
Your car was vibrated off the
I'm
road.
going to die trying to turn these notifications off so I can focus on what I'm doing. I'm going to have my own alert over here in a second.
But see, everybody knows what an Amber Alert is. No one at this table knew what a red flag warning was before Friday.
Not.
I do.
And all of us had, any of us that even noticed it had to look it up, which means just tell us what it is. Just say fire risk. Don't start fires.
High fire risk today.
Yeah.
That I
red
get.
flag warning. What does that mean? A red flag to me means the surf is rough on the beach.
Yeah.
Undercurrent.
Yeah. Riptides, whatever. I don't know.
Like, don't go more than 3 feet into the ocean. You'll be fine.
So, do you want to talk a little bit about your Mexican party? The Mexican
Cinco de
Independ-
Mayo.
That's it.
Christmas.
Cinco de Mayo, Christmas, Hawaiian.
How much? I'm drinking an 11% beer over here. How much have you been drinking?
Well,
Am I going to drink you under the table too?
probably.
I'm trying to remember a lot of that party, which meant it was probably a great party.
So
But
I,
It was
I
fun.
think the first thing of note when talking about Christmas parties is it's mid-October, and I haven't created the event for this year's Christmas party yet, which is bizarre.
So you're going to need to get on that because
It's December 17th.
okay,
Oh.
that's fine. Because we recently learned
How do you know that's fine?
because I know when my large family Christmas party is that we haven't attended in a few years. Because apparently they only text one family member from each like chain of the family, and that
Yeah.
has been my aunt. Like my aunt by marriage, who has not disseminated that information to everybody else.
Mhm.
So my mom is finally on the list, so she can tell everyone because she is more better at doing that. But I also learned by my mom picking Lily up from preschool one day that the director for our preschool is my second cousin.
Wait, is she going to be at this party?
Potentially.
West
but-
Side things.
Good, you can leave your daughter with your name with your relative.
I am not the bitch that does that. And I will
Good
use
for you.
bitch for that.
Good for you.
Because like I heard stories too of like, oh, like we're at this event and like, oh, by happenstance, like our kid's daycare worker is at this party because they're friends of relative or whatever. And like, oh, hey, my kid's diaper is dirty. Can you go change that?
No, really? That's great.
Like,
What?
Bish, no, I am not on the clock. I am not doing that for you. I do that because I get paid to do that.
Mhm.
Like, no,
imagine
we do
doing
not have that kind of relationship.
No.
But like that's a Christmas party that I've wanted to go to because Santa shows up and it's extended family that like I don't know great, but it's good to see every once in a while.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I think that's the 10th. So we're okay.
So this, so obviously, you know, Graham and I throw a very large Christmas party every December. It's the Saturday before Christmas, unless that Saturday is the 23rd or 24th.
By the way, sidebar, I don't mean to interrupt, but we listened to a podcast that he used to brew for
Cellar Dweller?
he used to brew for Cellar Dweller part-time. Now he's the taproom manager at Fig Leaf.
Mm-hmm.
He's very interested in coming to this party. He does a party. He does a podcast called Truth, Beer, and Consequences, where he and someone else,
Who's very West Side. He is not.
yes, they listen to all the Cincinnati craft beer podcasts and they spin their own truth on them.
And based on our descriptions of your Christmas party, He is very interested in attending.
Oh.
Do you actually know this person?
I actually
do.
did know this person. So
Here,
He is welcome to come.
Yeah, as long as you can vouch for him.
As long as you can vouch that he will behave, not throw things off the roof, and
He will not throw things off the roof.
we now
but
have a
he
railing.
will probably
no one will
get
fall
lost.
down the top stairs this year.
So here, you can read the rest of our text chain. He knows nothing about the West Side and will potentially get lost trying to go downtown.
Sure.
But he's almost our parents' age, but not quite.
he's the taproom manager at Fig Leaf now.
Come on down.
All right, so he starts with you up, feet pics.
That is totally inside joke.
I know, but that's in the gay world, that is just funny.
That's just a Tuesday night.
So anyway, yeah.
What? No, that's you. That's her saying that. That's
That
Caroline
was totally
saying
me
that.
saying that.
Oh, but
so-
I saw
'cause our-
Julia told me to say that, so I thought
Yeah.
that Julia was his partner.
No, so Julia and him do a podcast together. Julia grew up on the West Side and is because I sent him a photo of me doing mildly illegal things in front of Western Bowl and was like, you will not understand this, but I promise this is hella West Side. And he just sent a bunch of laugh cry emojis to it. And I sent it to Julia and she just said, LOL, hell yeah. And then I sent her another picture of me at the farm and she was like, OMG, the farm, I haven't been there in forever, because she actually knows the West Side, unlike Marco, who gets lost trying to drive to Price Hill, which is very understandable because Price Hill can be confusing
It can
when
be.
there are 20 different ways to get there.
There are. So we normally throw this party the Saturday before Christmas, unless that happens to be Christmas Eve or the day before Christmas Eve. COVID has royally screwed this up. We had our 2019 party as scheduled. 2020 got delayed until July of 21. 2021's party got delayed until Cinco de Mayo. Actually not, though. I think it was April 30th or something in 2022. And so in this case, the party was lots of tequila in Christmas theme fashion. I think it was...
Did you have Santa Paws this year?
I couldn't tell you what I had. We did have some Christmas beers.
Yeah, not a lot though.
White Claw.
There was lots of
There
White
was-
Claw that was
there was
left
a lot of
Yeah,
over.
there was
Santa Paws, right?
Santa Paws, aka
Sounds-
White Claws, and
sounds
I as a wedding gift for Graham and I registered for an enormous fishing cooler, and I mean like one of those like 15-gallon coolers that you barely fits in the bed of your truck.
Which, for people who don't fish, makes 0 sense unless it's you two.
Yeah, and so that entire cooler was filled with White Claws and a little bit of ice.
I drank a lot of White Claws.
Yeah,
Not enough.
from
Not enough.
from that party, we drank White Claws at my parents' pool through middle of August. So it was like It was like 3 months of drinking White Claws.
I don't
without
think
having
it
to
was
buy
quite that
them.
bad, but
It was worse the year before.
it was worse the year before. I was going to say.
Yeah, the year before the Hawaiian Christmas in July party, we were drinking those White Claws for almost a whole year.
The calendar year of White Claw. Yeah.
I mean, if you only drink like 1 a week or like 3 a week.
I drink 12 in a setting. I mean, it's not one a week. But it's we don't run out of alcohol. We
You never do.
that.
Cardinal sin.
And we never run out of food. We do.
The only thing you run out of is little beers, and that's because you only feel like making so many of those before you want to murder people.
We also run out of lemon cookies.
Yeah.
And in this year, the hot taker was these
Mexican hot chocolate.
hot chocolate cookies
They
that
were
Graham
good.
made.
I feel like I took like 3 of them home and had 0 apologies.
No, of course not.
And you took one to an Uber driver.
I gave one to an Uber driver.
Oh, yeah.
But
Christmas
Graham,
cheer.
can we describe these cookies? Because this is honestly more interesting than the drinks we had at this particular
I'm
party.
like 99% sure that we harassed you on the event after the fact to give us the recipe.
I think I did. Yeah.
You did, and I need to find it so I can save it.
I'll take another picture. Yeah, so it was a chocolate chunk, like a double chocolate chunk cookie. so like chocolate cookie, chocolate chunks, that then had cinnamon and cayenne pepper for a little.
I think there was chili powder.
And chili powder. You're right. Yeah. That I just remember like dumping it in because it took a little longer than I thought to get it up to spice. But yeah, so it was just like a spiced chocolate cookie.
And they were delicious.
They went over really well.
So good.
They went over well.
They would have
those
paired
again
perfectly with this West Side Cold Brew Imperial Stout.
because of the notes of chocolate.
So that is our and our Christmas party's coming up.
And I think we are excited, fingers crossed, I'm excited for just like a normal Christmas
It
party
should
again.
be normal, barring any absurd pandemic-related spikes. We will be hosting our 10th annual Christmas party at Christmas at our own house at night.
I will work on securing childcare
Yes.
tomorrow.
Yes.
Well, Brian, you know that part of this project, the podcast blog thing, one of my goals this year is to go to 12 new breweries. I think the next one we're going to go to is Northern Row, which is right around the corner from you.
And we haven't been there.
We have not.
They specialize in lagers.
We should do that and then stumble up the street to that distillery off of Central Parkway. Do both.
I am down for that. Oh, I remember what it's called, but then I just forgot.
OTR Stillhouse.
Okay, OTR. Okay, that's one of them. There's a different one, but I don't remember what it is. But OTR
anyway,
Stillhouse
yes,
too.
I haven't been. Neither of us have been in Northern Row. We'd love to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then if we can muster it, because it is very north, we can stop by Fig Leaf. It's up, I think, Middletown.
Middletown,
All right.
almost.
So,
Yeah.
and Marco is our.
We have
colleague.
connections there.
Yeah, it's a March 1st brewery.
Oh, cool.
March 1st purchased.
Well, Marco, you're invited to the Christmas party. I'll have Joe and Caroline forward the invite, and if they don't, it's not on me.
Recorded for posterity.
We almost recorded 3 hours of this, so
Oh my god.
I think we have enough content.
I think so.
Are you content with our content?
It's a little chaotic. It's one file.
Did you read
I'll
what I
figure-
read?
Did I read what?
I asked if you were content with our content. Both those words are spelled the same but sound different. And then I asked if you read what I read,
Oh, okay.
because those are
Right.
also spelled the same but sound
It's
different.
a little past my bedtime. It's 11 o'clock on a Monday. Oh my god, it's 11:30 almost. I feel so bad.
Sleep is for the week.
I pitched this as a 90-minute episode and splitting it down the middle, but that is not the case.
It was never the case. It's never
No.
the case when Graham and Brian are here.
But I
The four of us
appreciate
can't ever shut up.
We really can't.
I appreciate you guys coming and splitting the seltzer pack with us.
I really want to go to Napa, and I really want to hide in their luggage to go to Greece. But we have small children, which makes it really hard.
Well, if you guys,
I mean, we can bring the children with us.
yeah.
Well, we can stay in the States. I mean, we traveled the world before kids, and
We did.
with the intention of traveling the States with kids, because we still haven't been to a lot of the
Yeah.
States.
You more so than me, but yes.
And I'll say, Napa,
Mm-hmm.
we have a lot of Napa in our cellar. Cellar
true.
meaning
We'll
my
just-
parents' basement.
Well, Brian, there's a rumor
I
going
have a
around.
Napa in our cellar.
There's a rumor going around between all the craft beer podcasts, because there is a community.
Mhm.
They want to do a wine-centric episode.
Ideally, it would be women in wine.
Oh.
But I feel
But-
like if you were like the MC,
I am all for this. I know another woman that is all for this. We just have to see if we can harass anybody else into showing up.
I have somebody.
and then I know you're also into bourbon.
When it comes to alcohol, I really don't discriminate.
But
I
you
try
know,
not to
you-
discriminate
Rose
in any
and
phases
bourbon?
of life, but
I just came up with a
especially
name for
alcohol.
it. Copyright.
Yeah, we could do. I
Copyright.
feel like we could do a bourbon episode as well.
That'd be fun.
I don't know anything about bourbon.
You don't know anything about bourbon.
Nothing.
Well, you know something.
It's made in Kentucky, right?
And then you know something else.
You drink it.
And then you know something else.
Yeah.
It's alcohol.
It gets you drunk.
You don't drink it like beer. That's a
No.
mistake that I...
You sip it.
Yeah.
Same thing with wine. I drink wine like beer.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah, same. It goes a lot faster, though.
Yeah. So thank you again for coming, and we will talk soon.
Yeah. We love joining and eating dinner and drinking with you guys and
Yeah.
talking about life.
Our beer fridge is happy that it's a little bit lighter now.
Soon our wine cellar should be a little later because you all have a little bit of it. So
Love it.
Yeah.
you don't have to go to Napa to go to Napa.
This is true.
All right.
Drink to that.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers.
Prost.
So that does it for this week's show. Thanks so much for listening. Make sure to like, follow, and subscribe to us on social media. We are on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. You can find us at Craft Parenting Podcast on all of those platforms. You can also get a hold of us via email, which is craftparentingpodcast@gmail.com.
If you like what you hear, please leave us a rating and review on Apple Podcasts or your podcatcher of choice. Make sure to share the show. It really helps our show grow. You can also support us on Buy Me a Coffee if it so suits your fancy. And if you'd like to send us stuff such as fan mail, craft supplies, or sanity, we have a P.O. box.
All this information is available on our website, which is www.craftparentingpodcast.com.
That's where we post the show notes, plus blog posts about some of the stuff that doesn't make it into the podcast.
And if you want to follow me personally on Instagram, you can do so. My account's name is @craftparentingjoe, and I share pictures of the beer that I drink.
I am at Caroline Creates Crafts on Instagram and Caroline's Creative Crafts on Facebook.
And with that, I'm Joe.
And I'm Caroline.
See you next time on the Craft Parenting Podcast.